Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video. There's another paid request, this time from Splitsin91. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, reviews, re-reviews, randomness, out of the blueness, you want me to talk about something again or for the first time, commentary, whatever it may be, pretty much anything, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And that'll be right under the video. Feel free. Splitsin91 wanted me to do a topic video on the character Venom and how I feel about his portrayals, which is mainly the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, Spectacular Spider-Man, Spider-Man 3, and the two Venom movies. Now, I will say first and foremost that if we're talking about media, and that's what he based, not comic books, but the media, I think has definitely been better represented in cartoons. Because I would say between the two cartoons, honestly, I would say while I grew up with the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, I think he was better portrayed in Spectacular Spider-Man. Because I like the idea that Peter Parker and Eddie Brock were childhood friends. And and I thought that cartoon was actually pretty decent. Pretty damn decent. In terms of storytelling and animation, because circumstances happen where the two are working together, they're very friendly, but then Eddie Brock thinks Peter Parker is a turncoat. He's just taking pictures instead of doing stuff to help save the job he's at, to help people that's close to him. Oh, you only care about getting rich, and you only care about this and that, and you just use people. Oh, you didn't help us get this antidote for this person because you're out there taking pictures and your name is on the newspapers. And it's like, well, he can't tell him that, no, he was saving people because he was Spider-Man. But that animosity grows. And then in turn, with the symbiote itself, able to learn Peter Parker, who he is, getting some pretty decent fight scenes. But also, it's nice that there's an added history between Peter Parker and Eddie Brock. So there's a little bit more to play with character-wise. And Venom is not a goofball, is not a cornball comedy bit like the Venom films. Even with the symbiote itself, I thought it was kind of neat that there was a point where Spider-Man, the symbiote took over him, and while he was sleeping, the symbiote used his body to fight the Sinister Six. Now, granted, later on, Spider-Man fought the Sinister Six himself and was able to handle them as well, which I thought was cool because it showed that both could handle it. But the first time was with the symbiote. It's like, oh, this is how, using Peter Parker's body, this is how powerful the symbiote could be. With Peter Parker sleeping, but this is what the symbiote could do. I just like the idea of something using your body without your permission and you not even realizing it. And so when you wake up, you got all these bruises. You're like, what happened? Why do I feel like I got hit by a truck? And then the Sinister Six are more pissed at what Spider-Man did to them, and then he's got to take them on by himself. But yeah, I did like the portrayal of Venom in Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon. Obviously, of the media fronts, that's the best. I like that added. See, that's something added to it that I thought enriched the story and the character. It was still treated seriously, at least enough for a cartoon. And then I would say, sorry, my nose itching. Still under the weather, but I'm getting a little bit better. So I'm not picking my nose, not digging for gold, I'm just itching my nose. So I don't sneeze and get saliva on the camera lens. But my second favorite would be the 90s Spider-Man. And that's because I liked the voice. I think it was Hank Azaria as Eddie Brock. I believe it was Hank Azaria who voiced that. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've seen the cartoon. But I think it was him And Hank Azaria, he was a voice on The Simpsons for Moe and a few others. He was Moe the bartender. Others. He was the cameraman in Godzilla 1998. Hank Azaria has been in quite a bit of stuff. He was in The Birdcage. If that's not him, then this whole thing is pointless. But I did like the guy who voiced Venom in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. Again, if I got that wrong, I apologize. And that's where I thought Venom felt the toughest. I felt his size, and he was dangerous. He was a very dangerous villain for Spider-Man. And that was the first time I viewed the character. Because I'd read some Spider-Man comics, but I didn't read a whole lot of the Venom stuff. And my first introduction to that was in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. I'm like, wow, I like the design of Venom and the way he was represented visual-wise. Like, wow, this is a cool-looking villain. And the symbiote, one of the things I liked was how Peter Parker was enjoying it and felt good and powerful, and it could, like, change his clothes to make it look like a police officer. I'm like, okay, that was really creative. Like, this symbiote could be a nice asset and make him seem more powerful and quicker reflexes than before, but also affected his anger to be increased tenfold. You shocker! I'll get you, shocker! I like the guy who voiced Spider-Man in that 90s cartoon did a wonderful job. Anytime I think of Spider-Man, I always think of his voice. But, yeah, Venom felt like a threat. Like, he felt like a big, dangerous threat on the 90s Spider-Man. Granted, it doesn't have as much of a connection to Peter Parker compared to Spectacular Spider-Man, but like I said, the cartoon versions of Venom, I thought, did them enough justice to be satisfying. The movies, on the other hand, no. I'm sorry, no. I mean, with the Spider-Man 3, to me, is still the worst. It's the worst Spider-Man film. It's the worst incarnation of Venom. Topher Grace, absolutely miscast. Didn't buy him hook, line, sinker of one iota. Not for $1, not for a penny. Venom felt small. He felt minuscule. There was no bulk. There was no size. There was no threat and danger that I felt from that Venom. You barely even heard the term Venom. We are Venom. Most of the time, the fucking symbiote face was taken off just so Topher Grace to talk to him. You could tell that Sam Raimi, and we found out later, Sam Raimi did not want Venom in the movie. He didn't want to do a Venom stuff in the movie. The studio made him do it because Venom, understandably so, is one of the big characters, so I don't know why Sam didn't want to do Venom. Like, Venom could work as an entire story on itself. You didn't need Harry Osborn and his Green Goblin shtick. You didn't need Sam. And Venom has all the makings of one story of itself. Peter Parker wants to get married. Harry is pissed off because what's going on. That could lead to a fourth film when they're married and Harry's jealous of their marriage and or blah blah blah, whatever else you want to do it, but things are working well. He does his good deed. He wants to marry Mary Jane. He helps out the J. Jonah Jameson's son. You could do that. Which I like that in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, because in the comic book, he got the symbiote from the Secret Wars. They couldn't do Secret Wars at that time. So in the 90s cartoon, they have it where it was on a ship that J. Jonah Jameson's son was flying. He was an astronaut. And Spider-Man saved the astronaut, but then got the symbiote on him. They could have done that for the movie. J. Jonah Jameson, they established in Spider-Man 2 that he had a son. Hey, he used to go out with Mary Jane. I'm going to save him. The symbiote's on me. Things are going well. And then things are going so well, but then the symbiote overtakes him and say, wow, I could do twice the work in half the time. This is this symbiote. I mean, I could do everything and be home for dinner and everything's fine, but by doing twice as fast, because the symbiote, it creates more angry battles, more violent battles, where he's less commandeering. Well, that's not the word I'm looking for. He's less compassionate toward villains. And then Mary Jane knows he's acting differently when she sees Spider-Man on TV, and I just her knowing that Peter Parker's Spider-Man. And but that's enough work there, and then realizing it's going too far, and you could atone to drug addiction, and he's feeling good, but it's hurting his. But what seems like a good thing is actually making it worse, and him and Mary Jane maybe helps him get it off, and then you could establish Eddie Brock, get a better actor. I don't care if it's Vin Diesel. I don't care if it's someone else. I don't care. Not Topher Grace. So I can't say I wouldn't care. I would care. I'm going through all that because I'm trying to come up with to do a better Spider-Man 3 with fucking Venom in it. And then 4 could have been Harry Osborn and Sandman. And if you want to put fucking Vulture in there for some reason, fine. Although it could be more of a cluster anyway, because when you try to put 3 or more villains, it's very overworked. But that, to me, Topher Grace, his performance, the choice of that actor, the fucking Venom face, you barely saw. And Venom looked scrawny as hell. Like he needs to get some weights. He needs to go to the gym. Venom, I need to pump you up. And then Venom 2018 and Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, I could put them in the same boat where it's not as bad as Spider-Man 3, but a lot of people view it as Venom. They got the look better. The aesthetic is better. I guess I would pit Tom Hardy over Topher Grace, but yeah, I understand Venom has a sense of humor in the comics, but this is flat out Saturday Night Live sketch almost, in terms of humor. I mean, the fucking sequel, he's got a fucking pet chicken. I forget what the fuck the chicken's name was, too. And he does a fucking mic drop. And you know, Venom 2, I think is worse than Venom 1 now that I think about it, so I won't put him in the same boat. Venom, the first one, sadly, is better, and that's a shit movie. Venom 2 was a worse film because you fucked up Carnage by making a Carnage movie where it's diluted PG-13, where Carnage doesn't do much carnage in a film with fucking Carnage in the title. Let There Be Carnage. Where's the Carnage? Do you have to pay to see more of the Carnage? Is it behind a paywall? But Venom 2018, it just... he's all about, I'm going to take over the world. Then literally 10 minutes later, I'm going to help you, Eddie. Because I was a loser like you on my world. What made you change your mind? You did, Eddie. How? Because of 3 conversations and Eddie has the hots for this girl? So you're like, I'm a good guy now. I like you, Eddie. What have you done for me lately, Eddie? I want half. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, watch Eddie Murphy's Raw. What have you done for me lately, Eddie? To me, you took the balls away from Venom. You make it PG-13. Venom 2, he does like nothing. What does Venom actually do in Venom 2? That's why I say that's worse. Venom 1, You don't see it, but he does kill a couple bad guys, bite some heads off, but you don't see it. He fights all those SWAT guys that would be dead, but the movie tells us they didn't die. No, I mean, if you throw someone that hard, that they're fucking dead, but whatever. Venom 2, what the hell does Venom do? What does he actually do? In Venom 2, he argues with Eddie, like it's the odd couple. Waiting for cooking Eddie Brock breakfast. Eddie tells him you need to eat chickens. I got a chicken as a pet. They have a breakup. Venom symbiote is possessing people and maybe killing them. But the movie doesn't tell us that he's doing it, so I guess the movie makes us assume he's not killing them. But they don't fucking look in good shape either. And then he goes to a fucking club and does a mic drop. Peace, bitches. And then he's scared of Carnage. Oh shit, it's a red one. And why does that make you scared? As if there's some kind of history. But you barely get it. So yeah, Venom 2 is even worse, the more I think about it. So, Venom, I mean... Spectacular Spider-Man and the 90s Spider-Man is the good way. And then, I guess Venom 2018, Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, and then Spider-Man 3 is the worst. Spider-Man 3, they didn't even get the look of Venom right. They didn't even get any... That was Venom in name only. In the Venom actual films, they get the look right. The look, the aesthetic, the size... I don't even mind the voice of Venom. It's just the dialogue and the shitty jokes and the crap humor and the dialogue. And I get that him and Eddie Brock have a symbiote relationship, but they took they took the balls away from Venom. They just did the Lorena Bobbitt goddamn balls away from Venom. It's such a neutered version of Venom. But I make Venom funny like Deadpool. But even Deadpool was rated R. And Deadpool was cut people in half or whatever with that sword in Deadpool 2. He was shooting people in the head. It was bloody in Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2. So at least he was funny, but he didn't cut the balls off. Here, they made worse jokes and neutered. And so, Venom was just kind of a cringy, unfunny, I don't know, butt plug of a fucking prop. I guess it's also, how do you look at Venom? Do you look at him as more serious, or do you look at him as more comedic like those movies? I think of Venom more in the tone of the Spectacular Spider-Man and those cartoons. That's how I look at Venom. Some people prefer this Venom. They like, oh, it's more fun. And it's like, well, teach their own. I mean, Venom 2, he didn't even kick any ass. Except a little bit at the end against Carnage with all its CGI orgasm glory. So, but hey, some people like that. To each their own. I've said before, I think the cartoons did the best representation of a lot of these Spider-Man characters, heroes and villains. Again, even the animated movies, Into the Spider-Verse. That's why I think that's the best Spider-Man movie. Because I like Into the Spider-Verse. I look forward to the sequel, which is, I think, coming out this year. But anyway, Spider-Man 2099, baby, come on. Let's bring that. Let's have a movie of that. Animated movie. It could be an animated movie. Maybe that'd be the better way. Just an anime movie on Spider-Man 2099. If you want to try once live action, okay. Get the right casting. But I'm going off tangent. But with that said, thanks once again, Splitson91. Take care, everybody. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.